It's awesome to be here with you in Calgary. I appreciate y'all so much. It's really great to be here in Canada to get a break. Because when you live in the U.S., you like live there. And it's like all the time. Like you there like every day. Like unless you travel, you there every day. It's all happening all the time. You have the notification on your phone. It's bad. It's every day you wake up, you're like, oh, again. No, it's rough. It's not the best time. It is not great right now. You know. And I'm impressed by you all because you all keep up with your news and our news. Like, you know what's going on here, you know what's going on where we are and stuff. And yeah, I know that you're probably concerned because you read the news and it's close. But trust, we are more concerned because When I was a kid, there's this kid, I was just call him Laquan because rhymes with his name. But I always wanted to be really good at like climbing a tree. Like when I was reading stories growing up, some of my favorite characters were like very outdoorsy and they could climb trees real fast and everything. Maybe that'd be half the story was climbing the tree. And I just didn't have the grip. Out of fear of heights, I would just slide down. I didn't have it like that, but Laquan was fast. Was like, up here, and just knew like where to put the foot to get the hand. To just had like an awareness of everywhere that his body was, and he was able to get really high. And then one day I was seeing a neighbor. The neighbor was like, "Did you hear about Laquan?" I was like, No, I didn't hear. What happened? He was like, "Oh, he fell out of the tree, and basically he got really high, but then a branch snapped, and so he had fallen, and then he bounced a couple times, and then he bounced between branches and just kind of hit You ever played pinball? He basically did that all the way down to where the actual final landing was pretty soft because every branch before that really broke his fall from what would have been a dangerous fall was now more of a plop with several lumps all over his body, right? And hearing that story was like painful because the kid that was telling me about it was there. So he was describing it in great detail. He was like, and then he was like, boom, and then he was like, boom, and then there was one branch he hit, he was like, oh! And hearing it was like jarring, I can only imagine what it would have been like to be Laquan falling out of the tree. And that's what it's kind of like to be in the U.S. as you like hear. So boom, boom, ow! Boom, boom, boom. Oh! Boom. Because I try when I go to different places to read a little bit of their news. I have to admit to you that I am not like so internationally minded all the time that I'm reading everybody's news all the time. I'm mostly focused on the news where I'm at. But in preparation, coming to Canada, I've been coming to Canada off and on for the past 2 weeks, and I've been reading news of the places that I've been going to, and let me just say, truly, it has been so sweet. It has been fundamentally adorable to read and watch your news delivered with such earnestness. As if these are real emergencies. They're not. I guarantee they're not. To just... the way... Oh, okay. Even today, you know, I went to Montreal, went to Ottawa, Calgary, and I was in Ottawa, and whew, just watching some local news, reading an article, and it was like a man was pulled over speeding. I mean, where are you off to in such a hurry, buddy? Is the car not enough? Is the vehicle not enough? You have to punch it. Maybe you should have left earlier, all right? Maybe think about that. Think about your own safety, safety of others, you know? Speeding. Now, look at yourself. Got yourself pulled over, now you're late, all right? A man today was pulled over speeding, and when the police pulled him over, it turns out he had drugs in his vehicle. I just think about the parents, you know? I think about... Sure, he was 45, but where did this start? Oh, something must be going on at home, you know? You know, because marijuana is legal. He had drugs. He had narcotics. You see that news and you're like, oh, that's adorable. No. Meanwhile, you'll turn on the news, living in the States, and they'll just be, a man in Kentucky found dead, just legs. We don't know where. We have no idea what happened to the top half. It is just legs. We're assuming it's a man. These could be any legs, really. We just sort of said man because of the size of the shoes, but while we're at it, let's just be on the lookout for anyone. If you see any top halves missing a bottom half, please call this hotline. You know, you see it. You see it all around, even here. You know, come here, turn on the news, maybe read some news, and you see people angry, distraught. They're Canadians in Calgary, furious, right? Interviewing them, and they're like, I can't believe that our city, I can't believe that the province would put a sign right here. A sign right here, like a sign right here. I've parked here for years. What are they thinking? This is what happens when you lose connection to the people, all right? Meanwhile, in the U.S., Trump has tried to defund Elmo. I didn't do it. No, it's up for everybody. Bert, Ernie, Cookie Monster, anybody can get it. Nobody's safe. And so you see, when you come here and you get a break, you know, you see people like upset about something, but it's not like an umbrella of an issue. It's just their issue. You know what I mean? There's just something going on with them personally. That's refreshing. It really is. As small or as big as the personal problem is, it's nice, you know? It's nice to be able to talk to someone and get a sense of what's wrong with them. They're not having a good day. They're not happy, very angry or upset, but you're getting something from them that isn't this thing that it feels like no one can do anything about, you know? You know, like, met a man in Montreal, and we just casually started chatting, and he seemed like something was wrong, and I don't know what led me to do it, but I was just like, are you, like, how's your day going, you know? And he was like, she left. Meanwhile, in the U.S., if you ask someone how their day is going, depending on who you ask, depending on the state or city, you're gonna get a very different answer. But a lot of the people that I've asked, hey, how's your day going? Maybe I'm just at a store. They're ringing me up. I'm like, how's your day going today? And then they're like, oh, you didn't hear? You didn't hear? He's outlawing reading. It's over. No, it's rough because then, you know, you have Trump wins. I know y'all saw. And then he's talking wild. He's like, Canada's gonna be the 51st state, right? I didn't say it. I do think, though, that one of the reasons, even the dog, even the dog. Dogs don't even have an understanding of, like, geographical boundaries or borders, and even the dog. That's wow. Did y'all do that on purpose? I know you've been booing every time somebody says 51st state. Did you teach the dogs to also? I think one of the things that did happen with that is that he said it in a way that was so glib and was so dismissive of not just Canada's like autonomy, but also he didn't even try to woo you. And I think it's because it's a hard sell. You know what I mean? You're telling me you don't want to be part of the United States, you don't want to get shot for free? No, in the U.S., let me tell you something. In the U.S., the United States of America, you get shot for free. You only have to pay to take the bullet out. You don't want to have the health care you have now, but not, you don't want to. No, you don't want your 12-year-old to read at a 12-month-old level. Why? You know, I look around, I ask, why? You don't want to pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to an insurance company that will act like they don't know you when you call to fulfill your claim. Come on. You know, you don't want to make the only food you can afford food that you kind of don't even question what meat it is after a while. All right. To each their own. You know, because look, it is a tough sell to be the 51st state. I don't think that it would really work. One, because of the things that we're used to. You know, just in government alone, you have a parliamentary process. We have Congress, right? You have several parties. You have lots of parties to choose from. I say lots because we have two. So even 3 would be like, wow! You know, like more and more of the U.S. when you travel, it just feels like it just feels like as someone from the States, when I go to other places and I'm learning whether it's their culture, different processes of government or just customs or something, I always come off like I'm not used to anything. Like they took me on a date and I got to the table and I was like, salt and pepper. Because that's what I'm used to. That's the totality of the spice rack of American politics. You get your salt and you get your pepper. Meanwhile, y'all have paprika. You know. I'm not saying it's perfect. You know, you have these like 5 parties, only 3 are probably ever gonna win, but you get these like choices, these different pushes, you know. In the US, oof. We got Republicans, we got Democrats, and we got like Jill Stein. Like I've been learning about your parties. I really didn't realize how much deeper it went as far as like the seats and the majority, and that no confidence vote is a pretty big thing. That's crazy. A no confidence vote, okay. Look, because I found out about no confidence, and I was blown away. So basically, I know you live here. I'm not telling you what it is, I'm telling you how I found out what it was, right? Okay, so with the no confidence vote, which is basically, if I have it right, it's when you have your like leadership party in power, but everybody is like, they're bad. Like, this is horrible. I don't even know if they know what they're doing. And then you talk to them in interviews and they're like, look, we don't know, but we gonna figure it out. And so then you have no confidence in them. So then, you know, they get pushed to a no confidence vote. They get that no confidence vote. Then, you know, you have to rejig the government. Basically have to be like, all right, y'all are not it. Let's get somebody who is it, right? And that, as like someone from the States, that blows my mind. That you can just not have confidence. That you cannot have confidence in your leadership and you don't have to wait. Because trust me, it's not just this election. There have been plenty of elections throughout my entire life where people voted, somebody won, and the confidence dwindled within about 6 weeks. And then we were like, oh, in 3 years and some change, you're gonna find out how we the people feel. I hope you're ready for that. No, I don't think you can get people who are a part of a system that has like a parliamentary process that has no confidence votes and then give them what we have in the US. I don't know if that would go well to be like, no, I know we voted for him, but that was a different time, and we didn't know that he was out of his mind. We didn't know that he was completely. When he was talking, when he was running, all the brains seemed like they were in the head. And so people were like, I like what he said. I think, yeah. And then he won, and then we realized that the brains were gone. And now we have no confidence, and we should do something about that presently, right? Before there's no food on the shelves. A lack of choice was how I knew I was broke. Yeah, I mean, when I was like out on my own for the first time, I had a choice between these 2 types of cereals I could afford. One was like a little corn pop thing. Whatever it was the only ingredient was high fructose corn syrup. And then there was this other cereal that was like, okay, I'm positive it was for people. I'm 100% positive it was for people, but it was built like dog food, okay? It just had a very pellety look to it. It had when you poured it, it had the brrr of like pellet. Didn't help it also went in a bowl, right? And that was what I did, back and forth, because I was broke. And I just had these two choices. I could just go from one to the other, and one got me real, like, jittery and excited, and I usually crashed by like 2 p.m. And then the other one definitely felt like I should be barking if I'm eating it. Then I got a little bit of money in my pocket. Ooh, I got spoiled for choice. Then I didn't even know what to do. I'd buy some cereal and I'd be like, it's good, but it's not the best. It's fine. Completely forgetting it could have just been these two. You know, that's what it feels like. Look outside looking in, that you have like a whole parliamentary process. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm sure you have your problems. I get that. You don't tell anybody, but I'm positive that you have your own problems. I get it. And I understand people's frustration. I know that there's been strikes in Canada. I know that there are people that are worried about housing. A lot of the same things that people are worried about in other countries. It's not as if I'm projecting some like absolute heaven and haven onto you. I know that it's a country full of people and people have problems. It's just we have more. It's a lot, yeah, I mean. It's a lot, and I don't think that it would work, you know, because even with a prime minister versus a president, your prime minister still fits in that legislative branch, you know. There's a lot of things reining your prime minister in, no matter who they are, and a president we're coming to realize by accident, is a king. That's a king. We thought we left, and we really did. We were like, we don't want a king. Get out of here, Britain. And Britain was like, all right, give it a couple hundred years. You'll want one of us. No, because we have this different branch, this executive branch, where the president's power resides, that is deciding to not really pay attention to or heed our legislative or judicial branch, you know, because it's really the legislative branch that's supposed to decide if we defund Elmo. That's really their purview. But he was like, no, I'm the only one that gets to look like this. You most recently had a decision to make. You most recently had an election. And, I was here before the election, now I'm here after the election, and I was never gonna tell anybody what to do. I did, while I was in Montreal and Ottawa, tell people to just like look across the fence. Just check if you like that. You know, because they always say that the grass is greener, but sometimes your neighbor doesn't have grass. Sometimes it's just a Buick on blocks. And that is tough. You know, because then our news would become your news. Because look, don't be wrong, like I said, I'm fully aware, and I also believe I'm open to the ideas that Canada has problems I'm not even aware of, right? Like there's a chance, I'm imagining, right? If you're in the right place at the right time for this bad thing to happen, if you go out into one of your beautiful parks and you where you're not supposed to be, you playing around, it's possible to get bit by a moose, right? It's not all roses and bubbles over here. You can really get got over in Canada, right? You could get bit by a moose if you put yourself in that situation, if you really stay in those neighborhoods, you know what I mean? If you're really trying to live that lifestyle, you know? That's what comes with it. But trust me when I tell you, you're not ready for daily U.S. news. Sure, you could get bit by a moose here, but just the other day, a man used an alligator to rob a liquor store. Which is one of the more effective robberies you can engage in, right? You know, because you walk in to a liquor store, I'm assuming to buy some alcohol, make a night of it, you know? And then there are people in the US that are desperate. You know, desperate because we don't share the same social safety nets, we won't even share some of the same attitudes around a network of community the way that Canadians do as a baseline. I know not everybody agrees, and you have your conservatives, your liberals and everything, but for the most part, there's a genuine understanding that, like, okay, healthcare, we're gonna have that, we're gonna do our best with housing, we're gonna do our best with all these things, right? And in the US, it's mostly like, hey, get it how you live. And sometimes getting it how you live includes robbing a liquor store, going to where you know there will be cash, going there with an alligator that might be a pet. I have no idea. I truly don't know if this is a pet or if this is an alligator that he found, or if this is an alligator that he like going in on it with. He's like, look, if I get the cash, because look, I do like the idea of them being partners. I do like the idea of them getting together and being like, listen, all right, you like raw chicken, you like raw chicken thighs, okay? If I have cash, I can buy that stuff, I can give you some of that, so we'll split it in chicken thighs and cash. Cash to me, chicken thighs to you, just so that we're clear, right? So I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna pick you up like a puppy, right? But then I'm gonna grab the back of your tail, I'm gonna swing you around, right? And when I swing you around, I want you to be like, ah! Just really make a show of it, keep the mouth open, let them know what could happen if they don't act right, right? Because he didn't go in, this man did not walk in, hold it like a rifle, like anybody can get it. Hey, don't move, right? No, this man came in, swinging gator at people, right? And people couldn't run out fast enough. Now, it was a mistake to start swinging it in the doorway, because you really only want the actual cashier to be intimidated. Now, you've made 8 people think, all right, it's all of us against him, the alligator. You have more adversaries than is necessary. You know, then he tried to get the cash and everything, but it's hard to get the cash because the alligator, he's not really thinking like a robber. Alligator was told to do his thing, so he doing his thing. You know, like that wiggle that they do, you know, going as hard as he can, throwing hip, right? Like, alligators don't have booty, but if they did, he'd be twerking, right? Snapping and everything, which does make it hard to get the cash, right? Because now this cashier trying to put it all in his hand. This dude didn't have a bag. So now he just got to stuff cash in his pocket while holding on to the tail of the alligator. And the alligator, you know, I don't know, I don't speak alligator, but I'm assuming the alligator is like, is this part of it? Because after a while, the alligator is being more difficult than helpful, right? Stuffing, then he runs out, you know, they call the cops and everything. And look, I can't imagine what it's like to be a cop that gets the call that there's someone robbing a liquor store with an alligator. I'm sure those cops were like, couldn't it just be a gun? No, you're not ready for news like that. You know, because I'm sure, look, there's property crimes, there's violent crimes everywhere in the world. You know, you have your crime.
But it seems like, from what I've been reading about your crime, that it does, and I don't mean this in like an insensitive way, but it does seem like most of your crime kind of like makes sense. Like you get to the bottom of it, and it's like, oh, he wanted what he had, and so he stole it from him, right? The U.S. has a lot of weird crime because a lot of our resources have been shut down, right? So some of the crime is not necessarily just to do the crime, it's just people doing what they think is necessary in their head that happens to be a crime. Like, a good example was, there was a man who called the police because he broke into this restaurant, right? Broke into the restaurant and I think he just wanted food. That's what I'm gathering from like the call. So he just wanted food. He called in to 911 and they were like, 911, what's your emergency, right? And he's telling them off top, look, okay, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. All right, I did break in here, get a little something to eat, make a little snack, all right? But somebody else is in here and y'all need to come quickly. Like, I'm all for a little burglary, but somebody in here being weird, like y'all need to come for real. Oh, I'm scared. Oh, please come arrest me. Because this is my thing as well, is that Canada would only become the 51st state by legislation or by force. It's not gonna happen by legislation because even if the more conservative counterparts of your government really wanted it, the people have made clear that they don't want it, right? And so then there would be steps taken, there'd be no confidence, there'd be all these things to stop that thing from happening. And the one thing that I don't think people are counting on is even if there was an attempt to do it by force, people think that Canadians don't fight. But your favorite sport, your favorite sport in the world, you have access to all the sports. You have access to all the sports. I understand it gets very cold here, but the one that you picked was the one where a fight could break out at any time. And not just like break out. Like sometimes there's a reason. Sometimes there's a clear, I don't really follow hockey because mainly I can't see it. I want to follow it so bad. Everybody seems like they're having a good time, but every time I've watched hockey, I've had to pretend that I know what's happening. You know what I mean? It's like being tone deaf watching like a singing show, like a singing competition, like watching X Factor tone deaf, and then you're just waiting for other people to cheer, so you're like, oh, they getting it, no. Yeah, actually, no, you're right, they bad. No. Anytime I've watched hockey, I've just seen the people's heads move. I've tried to move my head where their head moves, and I try to look at where I think they're looking at and everything. And then you hear the clicking and the clacking of the sticks and stuff. And sometimes it will click clack extra, so I'm like, oh, the puck must be over there, but it's not. It's not at all. It's actually over here. I don't know what they're doing over there. And then somebody will be rammed into a wall, a clear wall, so you can see. I've never seen only in hockey and adult films have I seen somebody pressed up against glass like this. The way they... Wow. That, I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, ooh, y'all think he gonna come through? No, and then you have the fights. And the fights are very interesting to me. Truly, because it's like, there's a strange energy to the fights. No, you never really know when they're gonna pop off, and sometimes there's a backstory. Sometimes it's like, oh, look, 3 games ago, you don't just have fights, you have drama with the fights. You have a real soap opera to follow. And then you see them and those gloves off. I remember the first time I saw it. They threw the gloves off and I was like, ooh, won't your hands get cold? And then they go swinging each other. And then what I really love is they grab the jersey for leverage. Missing, horribly, missing, nothing but missing. And really try to get close. Come here. Missing. But every once in a while, you get somebody with incredible balance and hand-eye coordination. They throw those gloves off, they grab them. You would think they weren't on skates. They swinging around and sliding, but they're still like... It's incredible. Anytime, anybody can get it. Incredible stuff. People really believe that Canadians don't fight, that they don't have fight in them. We didn't know you had booze, you know? But I knew. I knew because a while back, I saw a news story that took place in Canada, you know, trying to be international. And I saw this news story about a man who was woken up in the night when two burglars broke into his home and, you know, were trying to figure out what they could take. They clearly hadn't done a good job casing his residence. So they're just looking for whatever, right? And then he wakes up, and let me first say this. If someone breaks into my home and is looking for what to steal, I don't know if I'm gonna confront them immediately. I think I might try to come up with a plan. You know, maybe I'll pretend I'm a ghost. They break in, I go to the closet that's closest to a vent. I'm like, ooh, spirits live here, ooh, y'all better stop, ooh, you gonna have to return it or something, like, ooh, you gonna be haunted, ooh, you don't wanna be haunted, I don't care how big you are, you can't fight haunted. Everything in here cursed. You don't want those problems. You know? Maybe that doesn't work. Maybe they're not afraid of ghosts. Maybe they don't believe in ghosts. Maybe they know it's me. Plan B. I'm act like a bigger man. They haven't seen me yet. Well, lean around the corner. Hey! Hey, don't make me put my killing shoes on. Yeah, you lucky I don't have my shoes on, right? Because if I put my shoes, ooh, everybody dying in here. Because that's plan C. To act like my own dog. You know? Lean into my phone, make a recording, put on the ground, slide it down after I hit play. That way they think it's behind them. I'm probably gonna cough. Trying to bark makes me cough. And then, last resort, yeah, might have to fight them. No, I have to just run up on them and do what men do. And I have to roll up on them real quick and start biting as hard as I can. Yeah, please believe you're gonna wish it was a dog when I get done, all right? I brushed and I flossed tonight, so get ready. No, but these dudes, they broke into this guy's home and they had ski masks on, and I don't know about you, but if somebody already got the ski mask on, it just makes me feel like they're a professional criminal. Do you know what I mean? Like, you got the ski mask on already. I'm like, uh-oh, this is real crime we're dealing with right now. And this dude doesn't hesitate at all. And all he got on is his shorts, by the way. He just, like, shorts, no shirt, anything. And he starts pushing them up against the wall, and he starts fighting both of them and really swinging. And they're swinging at him, and he's taking some hits, but he's giving a lot. Just bow, 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 bow. He's like fight juggling them. Because he'll hit one and that one will fall, and then he gets to concentrate on this one for a second. Bow, 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 and then this one gets up. He's like, you get some too. Bow, right? And then their fight, he puts up a real fight to the point where at first they're ganging up on him. And then they're both like, look, I don't know how nice this apartment is. Maybe nothing in here is worth these lumps we're catching. And so then they try to leave. But he does keep punching them as they're trying to leave. He does just keep whooping ass as they're clearly turned around trying to exit now. He like trying to choke one from behind and kick the other one. And then they run out. They run out of his home. He successfully defended his castle. But then he does also leave. So then he left. I was like, uh-oh. And then you just see in the security camera in his garage, him drag one of them back in. And I was like, normally, in the U.S., there's a sentiment around this sort of thing. Like, there's warnings. It's like, you know, there's yard signs. Don't come unless you're armed. Blah blah blah. Like, there's a very frenzied passion. There's a fever dream in the U.S. of legally being able to kill someone that comes into your home. We like it a lot. There are some people that are like, please break in. I want to kill you, right? And that is almost always so that the person who wants to do the killing can use a gun. They want to shoot someone. They want to be able to shoot someone. And this man, this Canadian, he didn't have a gun. He desperately wanted to use these hands. He brought them back into the, I don't even know what crime this is now. Like, this was burglary, and it has turned to kidnapping, I think. Know that can still be self-defense if you dragging him back in and dragging him by the top of the ski mask too. So he over here kicking, fighting, going backwards, right? And so then he brings that dude back in, punching, closes the door. This dude tried to get up against the door. He throws it back down and locks the door. And I was like, y'all done accidentally broke into the devil's house. That's crazy. And I think he had one of those things where instead of a key, it was like a combination thing. So as soon as you put in the combination, the lock will start to turn, because that's what's happening. Because now the dude who was the second burglar, he must have been running and realized nobody was behind him. So then he comes back and he trying to get in, and then this dude just keep relocking it, right? So then finally, you know, this dude just manages to get the ski mask off the guy, so now you see his face. Now his face is on the camera and everything. But then, I don't know how well this burglar could fight. It didn't seem like well at all. But he does finally like create like a little butterfly situation with his legs, which destabilizes the homeowner. So that guy falls to the ground. Then he goes for his own takedown on the burglar, but the burglar swings down, sits, and just has him in like a headlock, but not a headlock that's like effective. It looks like a headlock just so he can catch a break. You know, so when you see Trump talk about like a 51st state, I feel like if I worked at the White House, I would just bring an iPad and like, Mr. President, this is what they do.
You know him from The Daily Show. You know him from his weekly sets on YouTube. Please make a bunch of noise right now for my friend Josh Johnson!
I think that the gift that someone gives you says a lot about who they think you are. I was given a gift by a friend, and I could tell that he hadn't given gifts to people who weren't like in his immediate family or people he was dating, you know? Because there are some people, they're very good at giving gifts. They have a real talent. It's an impeccable, like uncanny way that they can just tell what you need or what you'd really enjoy, and they get you that exact thing without you even having to say it. And then there are men. And so, my buddy got me a gift. Usually when you give someone a gift, they're like family or it's a special occasion. You know you're gonna have to get them a gift, right? It's rare, especially as you get older, to make a friend and become close enough that you need to get them a gift. That's like a barrier that some people just don't. Like if you're a coworker and y'all have been hanging out outside of work and everything, and then Christmas comes around, you're like, you know what? Let me get my coworker, let me get my buddy a Christmas gift. You don't have to. They may not be expecting it, but someone has to like make that jump first. And my friend got me a gift, and you could tell I was the first person outside of like family or a girlfriend that he had to get a gift for, because he got me socks. And when I say socks, understand, I mean a pair. Not like a bunch of socks, not a bunch of different crazies. He got me socks, and I don't know what that says about me. I don't know what that says he thinks about, because I've never been around him barefoot. I've never given the indication that socks is what I'm missing. I've never been in sandals around him. I've never had ashy feet. He's never seen my toenails. There's no reason socks I'd look covered for, you know. And so he got me these socks, and if you're gonna give somebody, as a gift, if you're gonna give somebody socks, just hand them to them. This man put the socks in a bag that was nicer than the socks. The bag was very nice. I thought he got me a watch or something. The bag looked designer. And it had too much tissue paper in it. You could tell he had never got anybody else a gift before because the level of tissue paper was clearly all the tissue paper that came when he bought tissue paper. It was every sheet of tissue paper was open and then crinkled in the back. It took me a magician's amount of time to pull all the tissue paper out of this bag. And I was pulling so much tissue paper out, I thought he got me nothing. That would have been better and funny. That would have been dope if at the end I pull out tissue paper and he's like, ah, you know what I mean? Instead, I pull out the last piece of tissue paper and at the bottom, flat, is socks. And I'm not, look, any gift, any action like that, any act of love like that, I genuinely appreciate. And so I said thank you instead of why. I could have said why. I was thinking why. But I said thank you, right? And inspected the socks a little bit, and there was something amiss because it was 2 socks. But one sock had an R on it. And one sock had an L on it. And these, for the final time, weren't novelty socks. They weren't like a cool designer thing. The R and the L looked written. So you are indicating I need a ton of help. I don't know what I have done or said around this man to be given a sock with an R on it and a sock with an L on it, because when they make socks, they leave it up to you. When all these sock makers make socks, they're like, you know what? I bet he gonna figure it out. You know, I don't even think you could do it wrong unless you put 2 on 1. He gave me a sock with an R and a sock with an L, and had the absolute audacity to smile at me and nod, waiting for his thank you like a little kid. It's wedding season, and I've been to a ton of weddings. In my life, I've been to a lot of weddings. A lot of people that I know love people. And I will say, outside, the only like good weddings I've been to are my girlfriend's friends and some of my family. Anytime it's my friend getting married, it is a disaster in one way or another. Weddings already make me nervous. Weddings make me very, very nervous sometimes because I want everything to go well for them. You know, I get nervous for the bride and the groom. Not even that I think that they're gonna mess up, they're gonna do anything. I just want it to be, you spend so much money on a day like this. You want it to be perfect, you know? And it's 2 people that love each other, that made a moment for everyone that they love to be there together. I want it to go perfect for them. And I've been to plenty of beautiful weddings, truly amazing weddings. But there are a few aspects of every wedding where things could go wrong. You know, this is where you're starting to spin some plates, make sure everything's on the ceremony, right? A lot of people do the ceremony different by culture, sometimes just different by personality. So there's a lot of different things in there that you have to be on top of. Do you have a wedding planner? Do you not have a wedding planner? Whatever it is, there's so many details, you know? Vows. There was a... Okay. I think it's beautiful when people write their own vows. I do. I think it's very sweet because it's very easy to go up there, you know, and just do what you're quote unquote supposed to do. I'm not saying there's any right or wrong way to do it, but people clearly put some specific thought into what they wanted to say. And I think that for them, that's amazing, you know, because every relationship is different. Some people need to say some extra stuff on top of the baseline stuff. Just to make sure, okay, but in front of everybody. God. And I've been to plenty of weddings where people write their own vows, and it shows the relationship that they've built over the time that they were together, engaged, everything, and it shows what's important to them specifically in this relationship. But there was one wedding where they wrote their own vows, and she went first, and they were beautiful. They were commitments that she was making in front of everyone to him, things that she was going to do because she knew how important they were to him, and ways that she would nurture him and make him feel like the person that he felt that day, right? We're going to keep this moment forever. And he also had some beautiful vows, commitments that he was making to her, that he wanted her to understand he would keep until the day that he died. The only problem is he wrapped them. This man wrapped the vows and didn't tell anybody he was gonna do it. This man wrapped the vows, and even the pastor was like, I don't rap at all, but I've never rapped in a way that made someone lean away from me. Also, just throwing this out there, if you're gonna rap at all, like if you're gonna rap, like, cause there was no beat. He just went full 8 Mile last verse with it. And if you're gonna go a cappella, just start rapping. This man kicked it off with a Dude, if your vows start with there's just you're in the most singular relationship of human history. Like, and it wasn't just like, it was... Never start rapping like you about to double dutch. This man over here. You could tell she wanted to be like, what's happening? She is probably watching him just praying it's a stroke. Like, that's... A stroke would at least mean everybody gonna feel bad for you. We can come back later, do this whole thing again. This man over here... Double Either do it or don't. Don't. This man rapped his vows, and they were a couple pages long. They went on for a while, and when he got done, the pastor was like, so, do you take that and she said no, and to be clear, she didn't just flat out hit him with a no. She went, which is a reasonable response. But I was split on it, because it's like, you're getting married, and if you're gonna marry someone, you should know whether they're gonna impromptu rap or not. Like, that feels like a very particular trait. If that went over your head, y'all have problems as a couple that need to be worked out, that are beyond the hip hop. Cause it's like that. It was tough. It was tough, because on one hand I was like, I get it, and on the other I was like, all right, but like once you're engaged, I feel like the ick's gotta go out the window. Do you know what I mean? Like, love is supposed to go over ick. When you are with the person and you declare you're gonna be with a person for the rest of your life, you do take on their embarrassment. Like, think about it. Like, you'll be married one day being like, yeah, that over there embarrassing me, that's who till we die, I'm gonna be embarrassed. That's what I signed up for. Well, the ceremonies are also short. Like, as much of the wedding day is about the couple, the actual ceremony is usually not that long, you know? And I've been to full-on, like, mass Catholic weddings where even the priest was like, okay. But there's just so many different things that could go off the rails, you know? There's that moment in a lot of weddings, especially when you do the traditional vows, traditional reading and everything, where they say, if anyone has cause, if anyone, it's different wording in different places, but if anyone knows why these two should not be wed, speak now or forever hold your peace. And most weddings I've been to, everybody at least look. I'm not saying they look because they don't believe in the couple. I think they look to see if there's drama is about to occur. You don't want somebody to stand up and then you got to turn around all late and stuff. You know, you just give it a quick little, just dignified, sophisticated, quick little I, okay, all right. You don't turn all the way around. A lot of weddings I've been to, people look. And there's also the officiant, you know, who marries the couple. A lot of times it's a friend, sometimes it's like especially if it's like a religious ceremony, it's your pastor, your priest, maybe someone whose church you've gone to for a long time. And that's very important to the couples that it's important to. I want this person to marry us, you know, and every once in a while, you can tell. I've been to a wedding or two. I went to a lot of weddings in my early 20s when a bunch of my friends were getting married. I was living in Chicago and stuff. And I would go to the wedding thinking like, wow, I'm over here by myself. They've already got life figured out. They picked their life partner already. We're like 22. This is wild, you know? And I remember one time I got off work. I got the one day off work, so I had to miss the rehearsal dinner. And so I took a bus the next day, and being like 20 something, I didn't think it through. And so I just was like, let me go ahead. I'm gonna barely make it to the wedding as is. Let me go ahead and be dressed on the bus. And so I get on the bus, and the bus's air conditioner is broken. And so I sweat for 3 hours to the wedding. But I lucked out because I get to the wedding, and it turns out at the rehearsal dinner, everybody got food poisoning. So I look about as bad as anybody else. We're all sweating. And the pastor officiating the wedding clearly was like the worst off, you know. Everybody clearly had like a little bit of an upset stomach and like, you know, sweat some of it out and everything. Some people looked a little green and stuff. But the pastor was fighting to get through this ceremony, and they want a ceremony at a church, and so he has to do a whole sermon that's attached to like getting them to the vows, right? And you can tell he's losing it because there's a point where he's sweating, and he's not a lot of preachers sweat, but they sweat after they preached. This man was sweating from the start, and he started clearly getting delirious because he was quoting Bible verses that are not in there. He's over here talking about like the 5th book of Corinthians, and I'm like, nah, dog. I think you seeing double. I think you seeing extra Roman numerals in that Bible. You need to sit down and deliver some of this sermon. And every once in a while you could tell he was like feeling himself like he was breaking it for a second. And he'd be like, because God. And then anytime he tried to get like real preacher with it, you could tell he was like, uh-oh. There's just so many things. Even the ceremony. Figuring out how to get people from the ceremony to the reception is sometimes a battle, especially if they're not in the same place. You know, I've been to a lot of beautiful weddings where they were in the same location. You just gotta walk to like the other part of the building or right outside or wherever, and it all works. If you gotta get people from one location to another, it can be treacherous. People can be lost. I don't drink, so I don't really deal with this particular aspect. I don't know in a wedding when people are supposed to get drunk. I just know they start getting drunk right after I do, and some of it I'm like, when did you drink? How? We just sat down to eat. How? And there's the dancing. The dance, one of my favorite things. Okay, I've been invited to a lot of my white friends' weddings, and what I love, one of my favorite things in the world, is the moment that you can tell they're about to break it down. The absolute moment that they have locked in, and I don't know if it's the liquor, the song, I don't know what it is, but they're like, I don't care who's looking, I don't care who I came here with, I'm about to express myself. Everywhere. And what I love about it is a thing that I noticed once again, in my 20s, going to some of my friends' weddings from back in Louisiana and stuff, there's a face. There's a face that a white dude makes right before he breaks it down. And I would be lying if I said it's not the identical face a white dude has before he says the most racist thing you've ever heard. And they are so exactly the same. It's that full upside down smile, that full like. This is the face that a white dude makes before he Dougies is the same face that was outside of every school that was getting integrated, all right? This is a face like no other. There is so much joy. When a white man makes this face, he's either about to do the worst thing possible or the best thing he's ever done. I am telling you, it is one of the most spectacular things you could ever watch because it is coming from a place so pure. I don't know how many drinks it takes. Some people it doesn't take a drink at all. Some people that's just who that comes out. No? Then you have the reception, you have the speeches, and the speeches can be tricky. Most weddings, best man gives a speech, maid of honor gives a speech, maybe the parents, some family gives a speech. And I don't know if you're gonna give a speech, because this is hard. Like a wedding speech is intimidating because it's like everything wrapped into one. Everything that scares people about public speaking wrapped into one thing. You have to be kind of funny, you have to be heartfelt, you have to be moving, you have to like really make people remember the speech, at least in your head. You gotta do all this in like a matter of a couple minutes because you don't want it to be too long, and you don't want to bust out crying and not be able to continue because then people will be like, what's going on? And so it's tough. I still remember, okay, it was a wedding where the best man, got a little drunk, so already the speech is gonna tilt. It's not gonna be its best. And he used the best man speech to pretty much profess his love for the groom, right? And it's like, bruh, you are exactly one ceremony late. When they ask if anyone has any reason that these two should not be wed, it was kind of in case this happens. It was speak now or forever don't. Dude, stand up there. So me and Chet are boys. I mean, we boys. We always been boys. Chet's boys. And then Alyssa came. Alyssa came along and ruined it.
I've just been thinking about a lot of wedding stuff. 'Cause I was reading the news and I saw Jeff Bezos got married to, I know. He's not here. But like, this is the thing. He got married in Venice, and it was supposed to be, I believe, at least at the city center, until everyone protested, and then they had to move it because, you know, the people in Venice were like, why would we let you do this in our face? Like, if you do this, it will be in the water. And the people from Venice had a point. They were furious because they were like, first of all, the climate change, because they take climate change more seriously than some people believe. And they were like, they're flying here in the private jets and everything, like the environment. What are we gonna do? And then what is he leaving us with? You know, he's talking about, oh, I'm gonna spend so much money here. It's like, you don't even pay. They made a banner that said, if you can afford to rent Venice, you can afford to pay more taxes, right? And even more so than the sentiment of like the big banner was just that they used a really bad picture of him. And I don't know, I'm speaking as a sensitive person. If you got a bad enough picture of me, you really don't need to say anything else. Like, that's, you got me good. No, I'm gonna think about it all day. Because apparently he spent $50 million on the wedding. $50 million. How do you even get to 50 for a wedding? 3 days, 50 million. You gotta leave something for the divorce. You spent $50 million knowing you cheat. Oh, that's crazy. No, just say it. Thought you were a businessman. And I think a lot of people aren't even really upset about the wedding so much. There's obviously people that are annoyed by the tourism aspect. There are people who live in Venice. They're like, look, it's ruining our cities. Tourism is nice, it's good to make some money, but the way that people come here and what they turn our city into, it's like we're not a prop. You know, we're not a backdrop. We're real people that live here that get inconvenienced by the things that people do when they try to make our entire city about them. You know? And so they protested, and those protests at least worked to the degree that they weren't able to put on the wedding that they initially wanted to, which has made me really happy. I usually want everything to go well at a wedding when it comes to people that I know, maybe don't even know well, but there's just so much pressure that goes into it. I want that for them, and I've never wanted less of that for anyone than Jeff Bezos. Like, just the way that Jeff moves, I was just waiting. I just want so many things to go wrong. Just little things. They had to get on boats to get to other boats. They had to get on a little boat to get to the yacht. I'm like, just fall through the gap. Like, just... That would be nice if he fell through the gap and he's all... You know, and then pull him out of the water by his head so it's slippery, so it takes a while. You know what I mean? No, that would be fire, you know? Or if like the DJ played REM, you know? I just wanted one speech to just like ruin it, you know what I mean? Like one speech to be like, as everybody, hey, it's me and Jeff are boys. Me and Jeff are boys, we've always been boys, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and then Lauren came and ruined it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, me and Jeff killed somebody together. Like, that's... They'll never find a body, dog. There's so many things that can go wrong. I hope something did. No. I know it's not nice, but neither is he. You know, it's like at a certain point, you know, you look at Jeff Bezos as this former CEO of Amazon, and you'll get people who are like, he's not even the CEO anymore. Why is everybody so upset? It's like he's still the executive chairman, and the way that Amazon was run while he was a CEO, it's just a continuation of that thing. You know what I mean? It's still working people to the bone and then chucking them out as soon as you have a robot or an AI that can take their place while pretending that that's better for all of us. And then the environmental, pledges that they make, kind of like skirting around them or dropping them entirely. It's just, it's one of those things where if nothing else, if we don't have anything else but a voice to protest him having a good day, then I think as many people as possible should do that. You know what I mean? Like it's... And I've just never seen that before. I mean, I've known people who got married and knew that their in-laws didn't like them. I've never seen a protest. They say, speak now or forever hold your peace. And there's a whole group outside like, I have something to say. If anyone knows why these two should not be wed, speak now. I do. And I don't know. I mean, I look at Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez. I don't know them as people, and I don't know what their relationship is like. But I hope it's fraught. Like I hope that it's. No, I hope. Look, I hope that they argue a lot. And that when they argue, it gives Bezos a headache that is at least equal to like an Amazon worker who's had a box fall on their head. You know what I mean? Like it's, if there's just any source of balance in the universe, they will be as much of a headache to each other as they are an impact on the world. And I know that probably won't happen, but we can dream. You know what I mean? Like, I do wonder what their vows were like, genuinely. It's like, I promise to always have money. I don't know. Second wedding, too. You know, his first wife, Mackenzie, definitely, at least in the public sphere, like won the divorce because people like her. Do you know what I mean? Like she became a billion when her and Jeff split. She was like a billion, and then he was number one, and then he went to like 3, and then I think she was like 2. I don't know. I don't think that you are a bad person if you're a billionaire. Just probably, just more than likely, because the only ethical way to become a billionaire seems to be to divorce one. There was one time, once again, early 20s, and a bunch of my friends were getting married, and I had to go to 3 weddings in about 5 days. Yeah, and so luckily I could afford to take a train and then fly, take a train, everything, and I don't know. I was young, so I wasn't doing the best planning at all. And sure enough, it comes time for me to head out, and I am about to be late. I stuff everything into a suitcase. I head there. I got one wedding suit because these friends don't know each other, so they're not gonna know. You know what I mean? I'm gonna show up looking sharp to each one. They're like, Josh, you really did? I'm like, yeah, I did. Go to the first wedding, phenomenal. It's very sweet. It's like intimate ceremony and everything. And next day, I get there early. Second wedding, beautiful, like phenomenal, much bigger, right? And then I get down to the third wedding, and I realize that in my haste, not preparing, I didn't really pack well. I have my one suit. I've got like some shirts that I can wear and everything. I'm trying to figure out a place to do laundry, and there's nowhere nearby. And my suit is like clean because I'm not a dancer. So I haven't like sweated out, you know what I mean? It's been a lot of like, nice to meet you, yes. Take off the jacket immediately, make sure that doesn't get musty, change the dress shirt underneath, and sure enough, third wedding. The clothes I had were the last clothes. That like literally the suit was the last clean thing that I had left, so I was like, all right, I'm coming in clutch, right? And go to the wedding, beautiful ceremony. And then we get to the reception, some speeches, very sweet. Only a little bit like, I just love you. And then it's time to dance, and I'm not really a dancer, but there was a guy, he was the uncle of the groom. He's trying to get everybody to dance because he is a true believer that it's bad luck if everybody doesn't dance at the wedding, even just a little jiggle. So he's getting people up. He's like pulling people to the dance floor. He pulls me. Now, I'm not a dancer, all right? I got a little bit of movement along the same plane. So you'll see me here, and then you'll see me here. And there might potentially be a snap in between. It will not be on beat. It'll be more emotive. But I'll be here, and I'll be here, and I'll be here, and I'll be here. And that was not enough for Uncle Willis, all right? Uncle Willis is over here. Come on, young blood, come on. This is what you gotta keep in mind when you cheer somebody on. Whenever you try to hype somebody up, be sure they can do whatever you're trying to get them to do. I can't stand when people try to act like this is the moment in the movie right now where you're gonna hit the beats you've never hit before. Come on, young bloods. I'm moving. And I don't know what to do because I'm not a dancer, and neither is he. You know, neither is he. Even him calling me young blood was like really weird. I don't know this guy at all, but he is like adamant that I can do more. And so he starts dancing with just me. And he's like, come on, get some rhythm into it, right? And I can tell he's too far gone for me to like not acquiesce because it's starting. It's like as he says, get some rhythm into it. And this man starts grabbing my hands to just violently move with his violence. And I'm staying at the one of the two, I'm just doing it faster. I'm like, all right, then I think that's He's like, use your arms. I'm like, oh. And then this man grabs my hand and whips me around. This man spun me. Nah, dog. And he spun me when I was mid-stride. And so as he spun me, I rolled my ankle, right? And so I rolled my ankle, and it doesn't just hurt like I fell from standing up. It hurts a lot more. It's weird. It hurts so much. It hurts like I fell out of the sky. And so as soon as I fall, he sobers up almost immediately. He's like, oh no, young blood. I'm like, don't call me that. Where did you learn that? And then he helps me limp over to my seat at the table where I was eating, and I can feel my ankle swelling immediately. And so I didn't even think about it. I just kicked off my shoe so I could check my foot. And because I was down to the last clothes that I had, because of the timing that the gift was given, I just popped off my shoe, and he saw an L on my left foot. And he didn't say anything, but I saw him see it. And none of the other groomsmen said anything. But for the rest of the reception, they were all very nice to me.
Mira, 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 mira.